tere! Mul on väga hea meel, et selle seminari vastu oli nii suur huvi. Mina olen Kätlin Kruus, ma töötan justiitsministeeriumis ja minu hetke tööülesanne siis ongi rakendada sedasama MTFT programmi Eestis. Ja me oleme sinnapoole teel. Programmi me hakkame rakendama siis Euroopa Majanduspiirkonna toetuste programmi Riskilapsed ja noored raames ja tõenäoliselt siis hakkame reaalselt programmi läbi viima järgmise aasta alguses. Meil on tulnud täna sellest programmist rääkima Hollandist programmi koolitajad Angela Pasma ja Keskus, kes siis põhilise raskuse enda kanda on võtnud. Ja ma arvan, et nad võivad siis alustada ja ennast tutvustada.
We almost understand what you say.
Ja kui teil hakkab külm või palav, siis andke teada, et me saame seda temperatuuri siin reguleerida. Ja juua saab siit.
The floor is ours?
It's yours.
Okay. Well, welcome. Please let me know if I need to speak up. I have a bit of a cold, so I'll try to do my best to pronounce everything in the right way as well. First of all, thank you, Caitlin, at Yara, Ministry of Justice, for us to come over and present to you a lot of things about MDFT today. Thank you also for sending in questions. I think most of the questions will already be integrated in the various presentations that we will give today. If not, please do not hesitate to ask. There is later on in the program also time for you to ask them again and for us to go into it. What we will do today is that I will start to basically give you an outline of just the foundation, what do we do, a bit of MDFT, the history of MDFT, and also I will tell you a bit about the INCAD research. That is the research based that was done in Europe. And Kees today, Kees is International Trainer of MDFT Academy. He will give you a more in-depth introduction of MDFT, and he will also give you a workshop today. So that will be at the end of the day. I will start my presentation. If you have questions, please ask. The foundation. Well, we have a very clear mission statement. The foundation was started to incorporate MDFT within the foundation, and the reason is that the founding father of the foundation, Henk Richter, and his companion Peter Wetzer at the time thought that something needed to be started up also in the Netherlands in regards to children, and basically children with a very problematic background. And for them it was important to reintegrate these children into society and give them a chance to a good life, or give them their lives back. So for us, everything we do is from and through that goal. MDFT is one of the things that we do. Later on I will explain to you more what we do additionally. Our vision is, we started with MDFT. But from MDFT and the domains that you will learn more about today, you can do a lot of other things that will support MDFT in its surroundings. So basically, a lot of it also has to do with prevention, because in the end, you don't want to use MDFT. And we are now here because you want to do, and we are very happy that Estonia wants that. But the best situation is that there is not a necessity for MDFT. Well, we're built up in certain units. Still, the most important unit is MDFT Academy. MDFT Academy facilitates MDFT training. That is what we're going to go into detail in today. We organize trainings for systemic thinking and working. Most of the time there are trainings for people or staff within organizations that incorporate MDFT, so that they also understand how and what it means to work with the systemic therapy. So it's the way of working, and later on when the team starts, that they have an easier connection to make in basically implementing this type of therapy within their organization. We work with forensic youth clinics, and we also have recently developed and will release a module for children with light mental retardation. We already use the module for light mental retardation, because most of the time we're not always sure that a child has that, or you're not sure that the parents have that. So they might already be incorporated in the MDFT program without you even really knowing that they have what we call LVB. What do we do more? Well, I talked just a bit about domains. We work with schools, so we've developed modules for schools to make sure, and that's more focused on prevention, that when we see children there and see problematic behavior there, that we can already start working with them and with their parents or the rest of the family. It's not to be a therapist, no, not at all. It's for mentors, for people to signal something that's not right or improper and needs to be addressed, so to speak. We work with municipalities because they, in connection with schools, are a very important client for us. As a lot of times problem behavior comes back to everything. It's not in school, but it's also, you see that within the municipalities the behavior shows because they are rebellious, they violate things, and that needs to be addressed. One of the new things that we're going to do is sports. We are working very hard with the foundation to see whether we can make an alliance with the Dutch, let's say, soccer association, because last year one of the referees was basically killed on the field by children who had problematic behavior, and that the history of this child or children and families was already known. So this happens a lot within sports also in the Netherlands, and we think that if we can help or train people who train children on the soccer field, or people in an association, soccer association or other sports, that they know what to do and that they need to be aware of what type of children they are dealing sometimes with. So it's maybe making policy and awareness. This is our organogram. We have trainers over the EU and 9 trainers in the Netherlands. We have a quality assurance department. A quality assurance department we have in Finland, and we have one in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands basically organizes the adherence and competence and quality assurance for the rest of Europe. Our operational staff and of course our business development staff, very important because these people also help the organizations that incorporate MDFT how to implement MDFT in their organizations and give them support. The founding fathers, Minuchin, assistant therapists, and an inspiration for the person on the right side of the picture, Howard Little. Howard Little is the founding father of MDFT. I don't know, maybe you have read about these guys in the books. Most probably the names are known to you. The history and development of MDFT. It comes from Miami, from Howard Little who developed it. Then 5 ministers of foreign affairs and health in Western Europe, Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, France and the Netherlands decided that they wanted to do an RCT, it's very special, within Europe, a combined one, which the project leader was one of the founding fathers of the foundation, Henk Richter. It was a 14 trial randomized, and after these trials, or during these trials, in 2008, MDFT Academy was started. What's the target group? Adolescents, 12 up to 19, a bit plus years. A lot of times we say 23, so young adults, we have to say. A child with only single, but most of the time multi-problem behavior. And what do we also need is 1 or 2 parents that are willing to participate in this type of treatment. These are basically the factors you need to start doing MDFT. MDFT in a nutshell. The training, MDFT as a therapy is about 6 months. There's 3 stages which we will go into later on in the presentation, but also Kees will show you and work with you in the workshop in regards to that. There are 4 domains: the youth, the parents, the family, or the system outside. So the school, sports, leisure. we work with 4 types of sessions, and that is basically different from a lot of other therapies. It's with the youth alone, but it's also with the parents alone, it's with the family, and it can be with somebody or another person from outside the family that can be present. So it's really a different focus. The 3 stages. The first month is motivation engagement. The next 3 to 4 months is working the treatment goals and the themes. And the last stage is sealing off and aftercare. And again, Kees will go into that later on in more detail. MDFT or MDFT Academy or the Foundation is not commercial. We're a non-profit organization. Miami has granted us the license to train and to certify and license organizations and therapists within the European Union. We're based in the Netherlands, and every organization gets a license for 3 years. What are the requirements? Therapists. Can I ask, how many therapists, social workers are in the room right now? A lot. Well, you, if you would like to do MDFT later on, need to also be prepared to leave the office. In the beginning, and the therapists always are in shock after the first training, when Kees would say, you need to be standby 24 hours a day. And they say, but yeah, that's not possible, we can't do that. Well, the idea is that it guarantees 24-hour duty call, but if you make sure that you from the beginning make a very good plan with the family, a crisis plan, to make sure that they know what to do in a crisis, and make sure that they are not going to call you in the 24 hours of the day. So it is asked, but you will get, or therapists will get the skills and the tools to know how to work with the family to make sure that this doesn't happen. Because in the end, after 6 months, the family also needs to work again with the child by themselves, without the therapist. The therapist needs to be interested in combining treatment and case management. Therapist is the key person for the family. He's the spider in the web. Therapists work in a team of 3 to 6 additional therapists. There's 1 supervisor, and it can be 4 up to 5 additional therapists within the team. We always train first the supervisor. The supervisor will be trained as a therapist. We call it a key therapist, and then later on in the training, when he's, let's say, been put in his role, the rest of the team of the other MDFT therapists start, and they start to work together as a team. A caseload at any given time, I've put here 8 families. That is when the team is after training and fully into place, looking also at the full-time equivalent of a therapist, so working full-time for MDFT. When the training starts, it is practice training, so from the start you get a caseload, and the idea is that in the first part of the training a therapist has 1 to 2 cases, and gradually it builds up, so after training there can be a caseload of 8. The training takes 2 years. First year we call basic level, and the second year we call master level. Later on I will tell you that what is required to get to these stages. A license is given every 3 years, and we sign a service agreement also with the institutions that have chosen MDFT, because we see in practice let's say from experience in the Netherlands, we have seen that therapists and supervisors need additional tools, times to work with each other, to learn more, to also learn about new things that happen, because of course time doesn't stay still. And we as an academy take the responsibility to also take this new development and make sure that we give them back also to the institutions. So it's a service agreement that helps people to stay on a professional level, and also to make sure that after 3 years, when an audit takes place, we make sure that the therapist or the team get and remains to have the license. Training requirements. Well, it's intensive training with the trainer and monthly study visits. What is necessary? Providing the case conceptualizations, treatment goals, taped sessions, live supervisions, weekly phone consultations, all with the trainer, midterm and a final exam, and team supervision with the local supervisor, and after that, certification. So the trainer is a dedicated person, but the trainer works very closely with the supervisors to basically make sure that the supervisor is basically the manager and the support and the coach of the rest of the team. There are 2 exams in year 1 and also one in year 2. What is important, and this is also one of the quite exceptional things for MDFT, is that all the sessions, or a lot of sessions, are taped. So the trainers work together with the team and the supervisor in regards to tapes. Later on you will see a few as well. And these tapes are checked or graded on adherence and competence. So we can really see that the therapists are doing a good job, and they score good on the prognosis of MDFT level. Certification requirements as well is session planning forms, treatment contact logs, and supervisor reports. And what we also do is booster training for the teams and for the supervisors. Then the story of the Netherlands. This is where it started. As I said, we started in 2008. We now have 35 teams still operational in the Netherlands. 45 teams have started in the past. Some have merged, and some were not able to survive. That is basically 2. 2 of the teams did not survive. The rest of the teams merged because it was easier in regards to the areas to combine the teams. So we're still 35 in operation. And each year within the Netherlands, we train up to 2 to 3 new teams. Well, this is the list, and I put this slide in because what is interesting, and it's also what the Ministry of Justice have chosen, is to basically select your locations, let's say, in a good way, making the spread throughout the country also there, so that children can get MDFT in multiple places within the Netherlands. But now for Estonia, hopefully, it will be, as I understood, the north, the east, the south, and the west. So the spread is there. This is the rest of Europe. Finland is, let's say, next to the Netherlands still, a booming country. We have 4 teams who have graduated, 4 teams are now still in training and going into year 2. And next year, most probably, we will additionally train 2 new teams. This is all still within the psychiatric part, let's say, branch within Finland. And now there's a way open more for social work and social welfare. So we most probably will see that in the year 2016, we will start to train more within social welfare than only in psychiatry. And what's interesting to say is we are now not only talking with Estonia for training new teams, but also Austria and Israel are 2 countries that are very serious of incorporating MDFT as well. Where is it being practiced? In the outpatient, youth care, the addiction care, mental health care, forensic care, and juvenile detention. Also residential youth care and daycare. Well, I talked already about this. These are the modules that are available now. The presentations will be sent to the Ministry of Justice, so later on they will be put on the website and you can read it back in your own time. What are the challenges? Well, funding, of course. MDFT training is not a cheap training. It's a lot of manpower and hours from our trainers. So finding funding to train therapists is always a challenge. The cooperation between the different agencies to find the cases when MDFT is starting, it takes a bit of time to find your way, to make connections with the right associations, to get your referrals and to get the right, in the end, MDFT candidates. In case we'll talk a bit more later on about that. Because by selecting your cases, you will also be more, more successful with MDFT. Implementing MDFT in your organization, the referrals, but also other areas out of youth care are a challenge. MDFT is no panacea. In regards to other treatments that can also be very effective, but if we put them against MDFT, you see that MDFT usually wins. MDFT has broad effects because the risk and protective factors are similar, and MDFT is treatment of choice in most of the time the hard cases. Conclusion, before I go and tell you a bit more about the in-kind research, MDFT is reimbursed in a lot of European countries by the health or social insurance agencies or governments. Training is one thing, and again, implementation is quite another thing. We will address that a bit more later on, and together with the Ministry of Justice and the associations or the Social Insurance Board that will incorporate MDFT in Estonia, we will also really work hard together to make sure that the implementation goes in the right order, in a correct way. I can tell a lot about it, but most of the time it's sitting together, making sure that everyone knows, has all the information, and all noses are in the right direction. How does MDFT fare in European research? Well, I told you a bit, mentioned income. This was an RCT, as I said already, in the five big European countries. It was MDFT compared to individual therapy. We've called it here individual psychotherapy because that covers the load. Income was about cannabis use disorder. That's what it started out. But the study collected data on other problem behavior. So what you see now will have a lot to do with cannabis because that was the study. We have moved on, and the focus with MDFT is not only cannabis but more on problem behavior as well. Treatment retention. You see that the orange line is MDFT and blue is IP. You see that treatment retention, it's basically the results are amazing. You see that MDFT, that people stay within the program, and that the measurements or the results are quite high. Only not in Germany, and if I'm correct, Case, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the MDFT team was already very closely working with the IP team. So there was already an interchange of information, and a lot of things that they were already doing similar was hard to extract when doing the study. So that's why the difference is so small. Cannabis dependence. Well, also, and Case will go into that more detail as well. You see, compared to baseline and 12 months later, the cannabis dependence is much lower within MDFT compared to IP. And I think this is one of the most important slides. And this is not only for Incant, this is also for MDFT now, also within families where children, when we are not looking or focusing on cannabis, but on problematic behavior. Not only the youth, but also the parents are very pleased with MDFT. And we still, and the organizations in all the countries monitor and have questionnaires and talk this over with the families. In research that we still are doing, we also ask. And that is one of the things that we get back the most, is that both of them are so happy with MDFT. I think maybe I can ask, where's Caitlin? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Caitlin was visiting the Netherlands in March, and you spoke also with one of the children in one of the centers. And maybe you can tell the audience what they said. That was an unexpected question.
Yes, of course. No, I have to remember.
Sorry, Caitlin.
see tuli nüüd natuke ootamatult, aga jah, me rääkisime ka mõne lapsega, kes siis kas oli ühel oli pooleli teraapia, ühel oli siis juba läbi. Ja mõlemad lapsed tõid välja selle suure plussina see, et nende suhted vanematega paranesid, mis tõttu paranesid tegelikult ka kõik ülejäänud suhted tema ümber. Ehk siis ka sõltuvusainete tarvitamine, Kaire parandamine, kui ma eksin, Kaire oli ka seal. Ja nad olid rahul, lapsed ise olid rahul, mis oli väga tore kuulda, sest tihtipeale, kui me võrdleme kas või meil hetkel olevate teenustega, siis lapsed ise ei saa aru, miks neile midagi tehakse ja nad võib-olla ei ole nii rahul.
Okay. Well, this is already something I discussed, so I will move forward. Some final words on the flexibility of MDFT. Yeah, MDFT is an addition to preventive of early interventions of services. As I said also, basically, in the end, in the ideal world, we don't want to use MDFT. MDFT may use or share interventions or manpower with other services run by the treatment center. One of the good things of MDFT is that therapists, social workers, they have learned a lot of things already. And MDFT is not there to brainwash all what has been learned and to give you a new path to walk on. No. Of course, it's a different therapy, it's something new that you will learn, or that therapists will learn, but you can use the skills and also the knowledge that you have gained through past education or past work. Most of the time, that is very important, because it gives you a huge portfolio to work with these children. So that's important. It can, from that sense, expand and enhance the things or the tools that you need to use and treat children with. Thank you. I was the boring side of today. Kees will be the one working more closely with you. Are there any questions? I presume they are.
Can I ask you about the aftercare? You said there will be aftercare after they leave the program. What do you do for aftercare for these youth?
I think Kees can give the best answers. Yeah.
I want to say something about it. I will come back to that maybe later. But to give a short answer, it depends on the case. We're not saying we're not a miracle method. So if you do 6 months MDFT, all problems are gone. Of course not. I think there are no miracle methods. So it depends on the case. Sometimes there's individual therapy for one of the parents, sometimes for the adolescent, sometimes it's guidance by a social worker or a probation officer. It depends on the case, I think. But we're not saying if MDFT is done, everything is all the problems are finished. Yeah? Is that kind of an answer?
Yes.
What are the main differences between other similar programs, for example, like MST, which are also focusing on helping parents to have connections with children?
Yes. Well, I think we have to say that all system therapies are very much alike. I can't preach that MDFT is so much different than all the others, but there are some things that are different. One of the things is that the focus on, let's say, the sessions. We have separate sessions with all, with the parents, with the child, and with the family. That is different in MST. MST is also a program that stays connected to you, stays connected to the institution, which means that basically when we say after 3 years there's a license, and we also give the responsibility away to the institution and say, okay, now it's incorporated and you work with your team and with the children, we stay connected. Because we focus on professionalism, but MST stays connected. So it means that the trainers still work with the people in the institutions and monitor, look at how the cases have been done. So it's quite strict from that matter. A huge difference is also the pricing. I mean, that is connected to it. But if you basically look at the therapies itself, there is not a very big difference. Except one additionally, and you will maybe give one more, is that if you look at the therapists, that they are they feel more comfortable with working with MDFT because it gives them more flexibility. So of course there's a protocol and there are steps that need to be followed and they are monitored, but it is not so strict as MST, and it also gives MDFT as an academy. We get the chance to develop things further. And like for a module for children with light mental retardation, we are not connected or restricted by the US, not at all. Of course, we have a very good bond with them, but we can develop further. Within MST, that is quite hard because their program is so strict.
I also heard from the presentation that the thing which I noticed, probably the main difference is that there are different modules which MST doesn't provide.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And for us, that is one of our vision. It's a goal to develop it further. And I personally feel that how more we can work with the domains that you will learn more about later on, if we influence that, we make sure that we find a line of prevention and make sure that if it's not prevention that works, but we find a hard case that needs to be treated, we easier find a connection to the right care. And still, I don't know how it's here in Estonia, but in the Netherlands we know that still a lot of times children or families have gone in circles and circles, and if they would have received the right diagnosis, the right care first, then maybe the rest of the circle wasn't necessary. So we feel that if we work with the environment and develop things there, we would make it a more, how do you say that, a more fast therapy in regards to others. Yeah.
Kui kellelgi veel on küsimusi, aga pelgalt inglise keeles küsida, siis ma võin teid selles osas aidata. Et võib julgust eesti keeles küsida. Et suur tunda, et they can ask me Estonian and I can translate.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry? Als je specifiek vindt dat het echt... Are there any other questions? No? Are we within time?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. I think we go for that.
No, I think we started then take a break.
Okay. Yeah?
So, yeah?
Yeah. So, first I want to introduce myself, and until I was searching for the right presentation. If you cannot hear me, if I'm not speaking loud enough, please let me know. My name is Kees Mos. I'm one of the international trainers of MDFT Academy. I'm educated as a clinical psychologist, and later on I was educated as a cognitive behavior therapist. And I think it was 10 years ago, 2004, that my governor asked me in his office, and he asked me if I'm willing to do family therapy. And to be honest, I was not a family therapist. I was a cognitive behavior therapist and was working with adolescents. And if we had sessions in my institute, I was working on that moment in an outpatient psychiatric clinic for juvenile delinquents. And if we have sessions with the family, we always had a family therapist, but the family therapist was working with the parents. And I, as a cognitive behavior therapist, I was working with the adolescent, and then we had together the session. That was how we did it. And then my governor asked me, are you willing to become a family therapist and to be educated in multidimensional family therapy? And it was nice because on that moment we were looking in our institute if we have to choose for MST, multisystemic therapy, multidimensional family, or functional family therapy. Maybe you have heard also of FFT. So it was not totally surprised, but I said yes because I want to go to Miami. That was one of my things I really liked. And then in the model, Angela explained already, you first as a supervisor, because they asked me as a supervisor you are first trained as a therapist. So first half year I had to do multidimensional family therapy by myself before becoming a key therapist, before becoming a supervisor. Then I was trained by Howard Little, first in Belgium, in Kostendonk. And when I heard about MDFT, I thought, oh, that's okay, but they put a lot of good things together, and it's okay, but it's not totally new. And I was still in some ways skeptical, to be honest. It was not that I was thinking, oh yes, this is it, and okay, maybe it will work. And then in November of that year, 2004, I will not forget it, we went to Miami. And Miami is boring. So it's not, for me it's not interesting. I was very curious to go to Miami, of course also to do MDFT, but Miami was, for me, it was kind of boring. It's not an old city with old buildings or things like that, it's boring. But MDFT was really exciting for me because then I saw how they did it in practice. And then we went to the slums, we went to the families, and that really convinced me this is working. This is not nice talking with and nice presentations, but this is really working with the families and doing work in practice and doing also very practical work. I like it very much that it is a therapy and it is also service delivery. It's also kind of case management, it's both. So you're not a classical therapist who sit in his office and have sessions with the family and then they go away and you see them the next week or next 2 weeks, something like that. No, you're doing also, you're going to the schools, you are looking if you can help them to find jobs or in sports, exercising or things like that. So it's both. It's doing real therapy and it's combining therapy and practice. And then I was really convinced and I was thinking this is working. So, kind of introduction. And now I'm doing it for 10 years. I'm working still in an outpatient psychiatric clinic for juvenile delinquents when they are released. I'm working for Youth Interventions Foundation, and I'm also still working for 4 or 5 hours in a juvenile justice institute, a closed juvenile justice institute. In the Netherlands, we don't say juvenile prison. It's forbidden to say the word juvenile prison because for juveniles we don't want to use the word prison, but of course it is a prison. It's closed, the doors are locked, there's a big wall behind the building, and I'm working there in the closed juvenile justice institute. I'm working there for already 15 years, something like that. And one of the big challenges for me was to implement, for us, was to implement MDFT also already in detention. I don't know how it is here in Estonia, but in the most countries the justice system is walking some steps behind. I don't hope, and maybe of course not in Estonia, but in most countries the juvenile justice system is walking some steps behind if you look to therapy and things like that. And we in the Netherlands have a very individual focus. If I look, what's my experience in the juvenile justice institutes. And it's really a big challenge. It was and it still is. But we're making really steps in that to get a more systemic vision working with the juvenile delinquents. Already when they are detained, when they are in detention. So I like that very much. And maybe I will come back a little bit later to that, but we will see. It's not a big topic for today, the in detention states, but we have an experience with that. And I understood that you also want to train a team in the juvenile justice institute.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So, okay. That's my introduction. And nowadays, of course, I'm still a cognitive behavior therapist, clinical psychologist, but my main job is doing MDFT therapy still. For me, I cannot be a trainer if I don't do therapy by myself. So still nowadays, I'm doing therapy, and that's one of the things I like the most. I'm really practical man, and one of the other things is I'm a trainer, and I'm doing supervision in MDFT. So the workshop will be in the afternoon, but maybe and now it will be more general talk about the content of MDFT, and some things maybe repeating what Angela said, but we will see. Maybe it's good before coffee break to start with a small movie. That's just an introduction of multidimensional family therapy. You will see also one of the developers, Gil Dekker. She's the woman of Howard Little on that movie. And you will see me also in the movie when I was younger. So it's always a little bit confronting for me to watch it, because it reminds me that I'm getting older. It's a kind of, small promotion DVD. Yeah. De Heek. Zit hij de Heek?
Ik gebruikte veel harddrugs, ecstasy en snuiven. En regelmatig blowen, dus elke dag een blootje, of 4, 5.
Thuis waren er de nodige problemen. Hij woont alleen met zijn moeder en er waren redelijk wat conflicten. En daarnaast had zijn moeder ook eigenlijk geen grip meer op hem.
Het is niet van de een op de andere dag dat hij zeg maar, een soort van ontspoort. Nee, dat gaat zo geleidelijk aan dat je bijna... Ja, je weet het natuurlijk wel, maar ineens is het gewoon erg.
Ik ben opgepakt voor wapen- en munitiebezit. Meerdere dingen gaan zoals vernieling, mishandeling, vechtpartijen bij geweest, diefstal. Ja, allemaal dat soort dingetjes eigenlijk.
Onmacht en machteloosheid en frustratie en ja, dat is wel echt een dieptepunt waar je op een gegeven moment naartoe komt. En wat het gewoon erg maakt is dat je sturing kwijtraakt, dat je grip kwijtraakt en ja, er niks meer mee kan.
Als wij zaken van jongeren hier bij de rechtbank krijgen, krijgen we informatie van de Raad voor de Kinderbescherming of van de jeugdzorg. En daaruit blijkt vaak dat er toch meer problematiek is bij een kind dan alleen het strafbare feit zelf dat ze gepleegd hebben.
MDFT is we like to think of it as a treatment system, not a therapy per se, but really a treatment system that's designed to help to treat adolescent drug abuse, delinquency and behavior problems.
Wat ik bijzonder vind aan MDFT is dat het brengt de laatste stand van wetenschap, de laatste stand van kennis, brengt het ook in de behandeling.
We hadden de pijler opvang en behandeling, we hadden de pijler training, we hadden de pijler onderwijs, maar we hadden nog niet de pijler gezinsgericht werken. En wat mij betreft is het palet voor de JSG qua behandelingsmogelijkheden nu compleet.
Ja, dan mag je hier even plaatsnemen, gelijk voor je. Is goed.
We zijn er dus op een dag heen gegaan. We hadden een afspraak natuurlijk, dus we zijn erheen gegaan. En dat is een soort mentor noem ik dat. Die zei tegen mij, nou ja, we kunnen een bepaalde afspraak gaan maken. Die gaan we maken en dan gaan we over zoveel tijd kijken hoe ver we zijn gekomen. En dat was voor mij ook het gevoel van oké, dan kan ik er zelf wat aan doen en dan wordt het me niet meteen opgegooid, snap je? Het is geen opdracht wat ik moet doen. Het is iets wat ik zelf doe.
Voor de jongen is het grote voordeel dat het kind niet als de patiënt wordt aangemerkt, maar dat het hele gezinssysteem wordt meegenomen in de behandeling en dat men dus als het ware samen oploopt in de veranderingen die er nodig zijn om het weer goed te krijgen.
Je moet echt, wat wij zeggen, meerdere paden betreden om tot een echte verandering te komen. Dus altijd, dat wordt er heel erg ingewerkt bij de therapeut. Het is altijd zoeken naar veranderingen op meerdere paden. En alleen als je meerdere paden betreedt, om maar zo te zeggen, dan kan je zorgen voor die verandering die echt nodig is.
De behandeling bestaat uit gesprekken. Het is in het begin zoals de gezinstherapie, dus dat betekent dat de grootste verandering en de meeste kracht zit in de gezinsinteracties. De gesprekken die zijn in vrij hoge frequentie, dus het is een intensieve behandeling. Dus we hebben het over 2 tot 3 contacten zeker in de week. Daarnaast richten we ons ook nog op de externe factoren. Dat betekent dingen zoals school en werk. Dat is ook een belangrijk aandachtsgebied in de behandeling.
Dus samen hebben Jeannot en ik besloten om dat te proberen. En uiteindelijk heeft dat gewoon heel gunstig uitgepakt. En ik denk dat we erg mazzel hebben gehad met onze begeleider, Peter van Hoorn.
Mijn indruk van MDFT is een goede indruk, omdat het zo belangrijk is dat het hele systeem rondom de jongeren, gezin, school, vriendenkring meegenomen wordt. En dat ook de problematiek die er vaak bij samenhangt, je hebt de gedragsproblematiek vaak van de jongeren, maar ook een verslavingsproblematiek.
Ik denk dat dat ook een verschil is met andere methoden, ook gezinsmethodieken wel. Dat wij drugsgebruik zo'n risicofactor vinden dat we daar ook heel expliciet aandacht aan besteden. Sommige methoden denken van als je maar je richt op het gezin, dan gaat het met drugsgebruik ook beter. Wat zij vergeten is dat jongeren op een gegeven moment inmiddels gewend zijn aan het gebruik van drugs. En ook al gaat het thuis beter, als je lichaam dan vraagt of je bent het zo gewend, dan stopt dat niet.
At discharge, MDFT and the alternative treatment may be equally effective. But as time goes on, MDFT seems to maintain its gain, so the children remain at low or no drug use, where in the alternative treatments, even one such as CBT, the child, as time goes on, starts to use drugs again. Maybe as much as intake when they started, maybe higher. So it seems to be that where the payoff for MDFT is the greatest is that the treatment effects seem to last. And you see, we love that because that is consistent with the theory, right? The theory is if you change the family, that's more of a permanent change.
Ja, weet ik.
Ja.
Nee, het is goed. Ja.
Ik ga het tafel met, oké? Heb je vandaag voor het eerst met reageren? Hoe was dat?
Ja, het ging op zich wel.
Nou, je moet er 1 keer 3 weken in.
Sorry, ik heb nog geen nieuwe afmaken. Oh ja.
En moet gewoon die eens in 3 weken, maar ik nog als het eens in 3 weken is.
Ja.
Nou.
In Europa zijn we op dit moment bezig met een heel groot onderzoek waar 5 landen aan deelnemen. Die 5 landen zijn recent bij elkaar geweest. En we hebben elkaar wat voorlopige resultaten gepresenteerd. En een van de dingen die eruit springt is dat de holding power, of de retentie van de behandeling zoals we dat noemen, dat die heel erg hoog is.
Eigenlijk is een percentage van 30-40% van drop-out heel normaal. En ik denk dat we op dit moment iets van volgens mij nog niet eens 10% hebben met MDFT. Ik denk wat het de organisatie oplevert, is, wanneer ik het vergelijk met onze organisatie, is dat er echt een team staat met kwaliteit. Gekwalificeerde therapeuten die weten wat ze doen, die kwalitatief goed werk leveren. En je ziet dan ook dat wij al als team 3 jaar bij elkaar zijn. Er is nog geen therapeut vertrokken. Zo zou ik er als manager naar kijken. Je kunt natuurlijk ook kijken naar het financiële plaatje. Dan blijkt overigens ook, omdat het effectief is, dat het kostenbesparend is voor de maatschappij, maar dat het ook een kortere behandelduur heeft.
Ik zie eigenlijk geen mogelijkheid om echt succesvol te behandelen binnen verblijf, zonder dat je een heel duidelijke, gezinsgerichte, methodische aanpak ook daarnaast zet.
Look, the whole point of why do we do this? Why have we spent our lives doing this work, which is very hard? It's because the bottom line is we care about children and families. We want to help children and families, and we want to help as many children and families as possible.
Ja, voor mij was het een reikende hand waar ik heel erg op zat te wachten. Voor Janou heeft het meest gebracht in de vorm van inzicht.
Ik gebruik geen harddrugsmiddel. Ik werk. Doe dan geen school meer. Oké. Ik hang niet meer dag en nacht op straat rond. Ik kom niet meer in aanraking met de justitie. Ja, ik doe het rustig aan. Snap je? Ik blijf een beetje achter het beeld. Ik ga een beetje op de achtergrond proberen.
Coffee break, maybe because maybe there are more questions, but we can come back to that after the coffee break. Maybe it's good to know that you saw one of the judges, and MDFT in the Netherlands is accredited and acknowledged as an evidence-based method by our Ministry of Justice, because we're working with a lot of juvenile delinquents too. So, yeah, I think we go for a coffee break.
Yes. All right.